those of you who work in and for the Signal Corps, let me say you are doing a splendid job in helping those people out there on the fighting line. Few at home come so close to the actual battle, and few have such a personal chance at a part in the coming victory. You are in a branch of the armed forces that is continuously being called on for something by each of the other branches: Army, Navy, Air, from Sicily to the Solomons. As long as you continue answering these calls promptly and accurately, you can well be proud of your part in the fighting.
In all the history of war, never has signal communications or the Signal Corps played as vital a part as it does today in every part of the world. With radio and telephone, it coordinates fast-moving mechanized units speeding across vast battlefields with the deadly blows of our Air Force.
Open bomb bay doors.
With range-finding devices, it directs the firepower of the mobile artillery quickly and precisely against the enemy obstacles. Its many instruments bring the shattering shell fire of our Navy to the support of our troops storming beachheads on their way to the heart of the enemy's resistance. Those of us who work in the Signal Corps have the job of welding all these together with equipment, ingenuity, and sweat into one unified striking force. Communication is to the Army what the rifle is to the infantryman. An Army might get along for a while without its heavy guns. It might be able to do without its tanks in certain situations. But without the means of communication which bind it together, it would not be an army at all. It would be merely a chaotic, disorganized mob. Orders are communicated from commanders to their troops by means of the telegraph, the telephone, the radio, pigeons, visual signals such as rockets, and a highly organized messenger service.
Conference call. Mountain Red, 6. Mountain White, 6. Mountain Blue, 6. Colonel Lawrence calling.
Red 6. White 6. Mountain Blue 6. I will call you back, sir.
Very well.
Officers are in constant touch with each other.
Mountain Red 6. Colonel Bailey speaking.
Conference call. Colonel Lawrence.
Each one knowing what the other is doing.
Mountain White 6. Colonel Fletcher speaking.
Conference call with Colonel Lawrence. One moment, please.
Each one knowing what the enemy is doing and where he is doing it.
One moment.
We of the Signal Corps supply signal equipment to every other branch of the Army, no matter where it's stationed, from here to Australia, to Asia, to Africa. Every plane, every tank, every field artillery unit of our Army is equipped with at least one Signal Corps radio. Every infantry division has its own complete telephone and telegraph system, tying the remotest observation posts into a vast, orderly network equipped to send the millions of words that illustrate the Army's activities to the highest headquarters in Washington. Here in the capital, soldiers and civilians work as a team to keep the nerve center of the Army supplied with every shred of information that binds our forces into one smooth, devastating weapon. Here in Washington, every Signal Corps device is used to keep tabs on the work of our millions of men scattered all over the world. And in addition to the main job of communications, the Signal Corps supplies equipment to many other essential services. Before our flyers start out on a mission, they check with the weather station using Signal Corps equipment, even though their targets may be on another continent. This is the landmine detector. The Signal Corps devised this wonderful instrument so that our troops can be warned of the death traps left for them by the retreating enemy. Naval and marine torpedo bombers and fighter planes look to the Signal Corps for much of their equipment. and special range-finding apparatuses that enable our artillery to hit a target far beyond the range of the human eye. All these are Signal Corps developments. The Signal Corps is responsible for this little automatic radio that has saved so many of our airmen's lives. Look! There it is! Yes, we in the Signal Corps save lives as part of our everyday job. And with these Signal Corps machines, we carry a warmer message to the boys out there. The words of love and encouragement that keep them linked with the homes they're fighting to protect. For this is the V-mail, which enters intimately into the lives of all of us. Yes, we of the Signal Corps, soldiers and civilians alike, are mighty proud of these achievements. And whether we wear civilian clothes or olive drab and the cross flag insignia, we're all part of the same fighting force everywhere. The men in the front lines are doing a great job, but they depend completely on those of us whose jobs are nearer home. Your workbench, your desks, and typewriters are a vital part of the fighting front. Whether you're a Signal Corps engineer or a messenger, a laboratory technician or a file clerk, you're important to the war machine. Each wire you solder, each letter you write, each message you send, each radio you inspect helps put the right instrument into the right hand at the right time. Yes, every day we civilians save lives at the front, but we can lose lives too. A little carelessness, a little slip. Long ago, the supply officers figured just what would be most needed by the men who have to charge into the enemy's fire. One missing paper. One missing paper, which may be impossible to check until too late, and we may have failed our fighting men at the very moment of their most desperate need. One paper buried and forgotten may mean a soldier's life on the battlefront. A year ago, you may have filed some forms that seemed dull and unimportant, perhaps an order for a few bolts and screws. Today, that order is working for victory on some distant battlefield. Today, you may be designing some changes in equipment or filling out a form. Today, you may be writing an endorsement about some new material that may be planned for the final battle in Europe or a landing in Japan. That's how important our job is today. The task of the Signal Corps also represents an enormous outlay of money. Money belonging to us, the people of the United States. Us, the men and women in offices, depots, factories throughout the country. In Philadelphia, in San Francisco, in Chicago, in Lexington, in Washington, in Los Angeles, in Presque Isle, and Seattle. We're turning these millions of dollars into the sinews of war. The motto of the Signal Corps is get the message through. Let's add to that, get the equipment through, get it there right and get it there on time, so that we will live up to what these men expect of us, these Kellys and Smiths, these Levines and Kapotskis, our friends, our brothers, our fathers, our husbands who are fighting for us and with us throughout the world. We can and will help keep down the fearful cost of war. We can and will help our fighting men to destroy the enemy's timetable right at our desks, at our filing cabinets, at our workbenches. We can and will do our jobs as well as they are doing theirs. Get the equipment through so that they can get the message through, and one day you'll have played your part in flashing a message around the world. A message sent by equipment you helped to build. Unconditional surrender and victory.